My name is Richard Phillip Garza. My experience in acting started way back in 8th grade at St. Pat's. The nuns over there used to do this thing called a hootenanny, where we all go on stage and sing and do a show and stuff like that. And that was my first thing. When I got into college, I took a singing class, and then I took an acting class on my birthday as a present to me. So I think that was on my 26th birthday. And I got accepted and did my first cabaret style singing and dancing kind of thing. And then from then I got involved in community acting within the like Marion Theater Guild and a few other theater companies around the area. After that, I met a friend in one of the theater productions. I think it was St. Francis on his 400th birthday. And she actually was studying in Chicago at Paul Cook's Radio and Television Acting School. And he was a professional, and he taught other people how to do all the tricks and stuff about doing commercials and TV announcements. And from then on, I studied at Second City. That was fun. Had a great time. I studied under a gentleman named Depollo. In fact, they got a theater named after him. At that time, when I was studying with him, they did the old style maestro and student kind of thing, where they just taught you everything that was happening. There I learned to do comedy and improvisation, and I did that for, I don't know, maybe 28 weeks. I went through the full course that Don Depollo was having. So then at that time, I learned about this gentleman named Liss, and I actually saw a program on Channel 11 that was showcasing his school, and my friend actually started to go there, and she took me one day, and I waited and outside in the lobby, and I didn't know you could go right in. So I waited until like after the class, and I got to meet him, and he invited me to come back next week. So I studied with him, and he again taught in the old maestro student fashion, not like they do nowadays, where they do kind of like a school type of teaching. And he covered a wide range of theater things, and I learned a lot from him. He taught me quite a bit in regards to drama and Shakespeare and voice and diction, and that was a great experience for me. After that, basically, I studied, most recently I studied with a gentleman, Ed Fogell. He's got the Chicago Actor Studio. He's presently teaching. He's one of my contemporaries. We were going to school at Ted Liss with him, and after Ted died, he took over the school, started his own, and that was my most recent stuff. But professionally, I've done some extra work. I've done theater up in Wisconsin. I actually studied at the Grand Theater Camp. So that's, it's about a lot of stuff I've done. Now this has been, last year was my first directing event for me. It turned out that my uncle, Antonio Porras, had asked me, because he knows I have a theater background, and he came to see me one time when I was playing Miles Gloriosus, and a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. And he asked me if I'd be interested in just, observing and giving some comments, and I decided, yeah, I think that might be fun. I like to do that. So when I came in 2011, I observed and made a few comments and tried a few new things with the people, the actors who were working the Passion, and much to my surprise, asked me to be a director, which kind of blew me away. And I gave it a good shot, and we had a good program that year. And then this year, I saw some of the gentlemen who played in the play, and they asked me to come do it again, and I was more than honored to do this again. So that's my background and what I've done lately. First, I would suggest, if they really have an interest, to me, this is a form of evangelization. It's bringing the gospel and the Bible into reality. And I like the way you put that, reenactment, because basically it is. It's kind of like living theater. But the people that operate in this program, they put their whole hearts in it. They put their time, their talent, their treasure into this. And the outcome is awesome, because I really do believe you get more out of it than you put into it. Come with an open mind, come with the heart's desire to want to serve and be used however God would want you to be used in the program. I mean, they're not always actors, but there's people behind the scenes like yourself, that make this whole occasion an event that's worth seeing. And sometimes, like I've told the people during the rehearsals, you might be the only gospel that anybody might ever see. So that's why I ask people, if they come and they're interested and they want to participate. There's one thing Ted Liss always used to tell us. He goes, there's no small parts, there's small actors. So everybody that's involved is part of this recreation of something that happened about 2,000 years ago, which still exists today and will continue until he comes back in glory. I think I would say that it's important, because nowadays with television and movies and the way the media is and the way the world is, you get opinions of what Jesus was, and that's to somebody that's never known who Jesus really is. People have issues with him, Jesus, and have problems of their own that they're out in the way of the world. But we who continue to have this faith in a God, a loving God, that sacrificed his only son for us, I think it's important that we keep the voice out in the wilderness to those people that do not know about Jesus, that don't. And maybe there's some people there that are borderline, that, they can go either way. And if they see, people like ourselves taking the passion to the street, I dare say maybe some will even laugh at it or whatever, but I'm sure everybody that sees it gets touched by it. In fact, last year, one of my friends that took photographs was really impressed, with the way the procession went. And in particular, the one guy that was scourging Jesus, he says, man, he kept really hitting him. He was getting into it, and I just felt it every time he lashed him. Of course, the actors didn't get hurt, but, that's part of the reenactment part, is we make it look real. We can't fake it, but we can recreate it. And if it touches somebody, if it just touches one person, then we've done, our evangelization. Because I've always been under the belief that wherever you go, you role model, and people see you, and you either inspire them to do greatness, or you need a bad example for them to make bad choices. Like figuring that, well, if you can do it, I can do it too. So we have a choice, and my thing is just lead people to Jesus. Yeah. There's a popular card that has, it's called Footsteps, and it shows a pair of footsteps walking, well, two pairs of footsteps walking down the beach, and the poem said, more or less says, and I'm paraphrasing here, that, if you were walking with me, how come there's only one set of prints now? He says, why did you leave me? And Jesus said, well, I never did leave you. This is where I picked you up and carried you. Well, in my card, there's only one set of footprints. It's because Jesus has been carrying me the whole time, right from the beginning. And that's what I believe. He's been, taking me along. I've grown up as a cradle Catholic. I've been baptized at Our Lady of Guadalupe at the old church here, grew up here, went to St. Pat's, went to grade school there, Catholic grade school. I had a great-grandfather, Richard Garza, who was essential in my formation as a Christian and a Catholic. He guided me through a lot of times, and I have learned it's not so much about the ritual, because rituals people can do things automatically when they kneel down, if they do that anymore, make the sign of the cross or whatever, I think what's really essential is that you have a relationship, a real personal relationship with Jesus. Jesus and through the heart of Mary, essentially are the way of relationship as He wants us to have. So if you don't have relationship and you don't develop a relationship, like with a friend or a girlfriend or somebody, God is a person, a living person too. And it's all about developing that relationship with Him. Because I tell you what, He's made Himself known to me many times. I won't go into details right now, but He has been in my life significantly at times when I needed Him the most. I even turned my back on Him, a few times. So, I've done my dirt, and He's always been there for me. I was told, don't give up on God because He won't give up on you. And it's true. He hasn't given up on me, and I'm going on 60 soon, so. I want them to get a sincere idea of what the Passion really means. I want them to know that we have a Redeemer who came down to this earth. It took all of His godness to become one of us. He condescended from His godship to become one of us. And born of a woman who loved Him and nurtured Him, and He was helpless in the whole process of His growth. And there's a lot of mysteries to His life, but there's one thing for certain: He did suffer innocently. He did this out of His own choosing. He had a choice to opt out of it, out of the Gethsemane part there when He was praying. And that human part of Him was willing to sacrifice. He asked, His Heavenly Father, He says, take this cup away from me. There's times in my life when I don't want to do things, and here Jesus said, I can't do this. I really don't think I can go through with this, but, His Father sent Him the strength. He gave Him everything He needed to get through this entire passion process to His eventual death on a cross. St. Bridget was given some visions about the truth of the real suffering it did. Mel Gibson, when he portrayed his movie, The Passion, he took excerpts from Sister Anna Emmerich's visions about his passion and suffering, but the truth of the matter is they had to tone it down so much because people could not be able to see that. And I know there were a lot of people that saw the movie The Passion, Mel Gibson's Passion, and I had a hard time watching the scourging and the rest of the stuff. And I've read Anna Emmerich's books on the Passion, and St. Bridget's account of the Passion. And I tell you what he did for us. I know no man alive could suffer and endure what he did, and he did it, you know, with his free will for us. So now he's paid the price, and he did it for us. And all I can say is that I hope you get something out of this passion that we bring to the streets of East Chicago, and that you enhance your relationship with God, you know, as you perceive him as, you know, the God, the loving God. Because if he wasn't a loving God, he definitely wouldn't have done what he did for us. There's a couple parables in the Bible that talks about the servants, couple servants that the owner gave talents to. The talent is really a coin, a gold coin, and it had some monetary value to it. And he gave this money out to these people. He said he was going to go, and I know two of the people made profit from it, and another one was afraid to do anything from it, because in his words he said, "I know, Master, you don't work for your money, you know, and that you have your terrible, you know, have a terrible anger." So I was afraid, so I buried my talents in the ground. And he was right. He was a terrible master, and he's got really angry with him. He said, you know, the other two guys made profits, and I gave them the profits to make more with. He said, you buried your profits. He said, you foolish servant, you could have taken them somewhere and loaned them out to make interest, but instead you buried your talent. And that's one thing I don't want to do. The other thing I don't want to do is hide my light. You know, everybody has talents, everybody has gifts, and it's up to us to go out there and use them, and you get fulfillment out of using your talents. Most definitely do, because those are the gifts, those things that you like to do best. You know, you do them good because you're so into it. Well, that's a gift. And if you bury those talents, you're going to get nothing out of it. You've got to go out there, take that step forward. You know, like when Moses crossed the Nile River, the Lord parted the Nile for him. But when it came to the other guy, not Jeremiah, the second in command. Anyway, but he encouraged him to step into the waters first. And when he did that, when he took the encouragement of God and he stepped into the waters, and then the waters parted. So that's what we got to do. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid, be afraid, but do it anyway. And learn to overcome your fear. You have to face everything and rejoice. You know, fear, face everything and rejoice. You know, and that way is a good option for everybody, because it's all about the rejoicing, you know. Or I don't want to be those guys that got invited to the banquet and they got kicked out because they didn't want to put on party clothes or whatever, and there was gnashing of teeth. You know, that's not for me, man. I want to be at the party. The other thing about helping out is this, and I think I'm gonna just leave it with this. Is like I heard a long time ago, there was 2 banquets, and one of the banquets, each banquet had people that had a deformity. They had no elbows. And one room where the banquet was held, everybody was getting sick and emaciating and dying, the food was rotting. And the other table, you know, the people over there were robust and happy and healthy, and the food was being eaten. And the whole thing about that, what's the difference was that the one banquet, everybody was trying to feed themselves and they couldn't do it. But at the other banquet, everybody was feeding each other. So that's what I want to leave you guys with, is that we need to feed each other. You know, we need each other's help and support, because we're all into this together. And now I'm at a point in my life where every day I wake up and I say, God, what do you got for me? And I said, I just want to do your will, and I ask you to give me all the graces I need to fulfill your will. And that's what I'm all about. So I'm all about accepting God's will one day at a time. That's true. You know, there's all these sayings, you know, like cast your bread upon the waters and it'll come back to you 10 times. I mean, when we give to somebody else, when we give our talents or treasure, you know, we get back. Really, it's always been my experience. I get more, and it feels so much better when I use my talents in a productive way in service of my God. So it's been kind of my philosophy to live by now. And I want to say, first of all, I want to say I'm grateful to Our Lady of Guadalupe Church here in Father to allow me to participate. I want to thank all the people that helped out in this program, all the people that I got irritated because as a director I have to bring the best out of people, and it becomes a challenge when people don't want to get out of their safe zones. But it's worth the challenge for me because I've seen so much growth in people, you know. And I use the carrot and the stick kind of method where, you know, I give you the carrot, you do good, and I use the stick if you don't, you know. So, but I get good results, and I've gotten really great results. And the payoff was, you know, at Friday, everybody did well. God bless us with good weather. I want to thank Depollo, who taught me about comedy and improvisation, the ability to be open to whatever circumstance or situation I'm in and roll with it and go with it. And I also want to thank Ted Liss, you know, God rest his soul, for teaching me what he did. I learned a lot from that man. We always butt heads. But in the process, I grew as a person, I grew as an actor. Ed Fogell, I want to give thanks to him because, you know, as a contemporary with me, you know, we both understand what it is to study with Ted Liss and how well we've grown. And we've grown together. He's sort of like my new mentor. You know, once we were students together, but now he's my mentor, and he's done a lot of work. He used to do a lot of work. I want to say thanks to my mom and my dad, who, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. I want to thank my uncle Antonio and Juanela Porras for being supportive of me. I want to give thanks to the community at large. And I encourage everybody to step out of their safe zone, find whatever God has for you. Everybody I missed, you know, talk to you later. You know, I love you all. Thanks for all the love and support I got from all my people in all the different organizations that I've belonged to, and have been very supportive of me as I've gone through this experience. So that's all I got. Thank you.